Welcome to another episode of Bargain Saturdays. And this week I decided to take a look at Golden Film's Pinocchio from 1992, which I have to admit I don't have as many positive feelings about as I did for Snow White, which is also in this collection of 4 films. We also have an obvious Hunchback of Notre Dame version in here as well as Jungle Book. But I have to admit, that bear looks kind of stoned out of his mind. I don't know what it is. It's just something about the eyes and that face he's got going for him. Makes him look like he's on drugs or something. I don't know. Maybe it's just my imagination. But yeah, as far as the film itself goes, I think that I have to pick the biggest problems with the film is that if you've watched the Disney version, it's much more aesthetically pleasing and better animated and stuff. So it has a lot more appeal to it. It also doesn't pull its punches as much as this film does in its 49-minute runtime. I mean, we have the obviously evil coachman, the Disney version, who basically gets away with what he does. Because, let's face it, does he ever get stopped at the end of the film? No, he still gets to go on slaving boys and making them do hard labor as donkeys. Sure, you can say that happens in this film too, but we don't really see the coachman that much at all in this film. Like, there's only like one scene, I think, with the coachman really in it, and that's with him driving the coach. Apparently, so yeah, he doesn't get much of a presence here, which he does in the Disney version, which is a shame, because he'd at least make for an interesting villain, or dark force within the film if they actually did something with him, beyond whipping the donkeys pulling the cart in order to silence them, because they're calling out warnings to the other boys telling them they should get off, they shouldn't go to Dunceland. Yeah, it's not Pleasure Island in this version, it's Dunceland, which I guess makes sense, because you have to be a real idiot to get on that coach and go to Dunceland, because it's just going to be a spell problems for you. And it should be obvious just by the name alone, shouldn't it? But yeah, I guess you can argue we still have the implied evil nature of the coachman there, where he's like, I'll whip you into silence, boys. I'll break your spirit until I can then sell you into slavery, because you'll be completely turned into donkeys, unable to even talk. You'll lose all of your humanity and become working slaves. But there's no real dialogue to help add to that feeling. It's just a subtle visual, and you're going to probably pick that up more from, what you know about what's going to happen than anything else. Sometimes it's best to add some dialogue as well. Not just show it. Don't be afraid to give some lines to help emphasize just how evil a character is. There's probably also a lot more time spent on the fox and cat in this film than I really like. I mean, they trick Pinocchio into heading out of town late at night to go to the Patch of Miracles. They're like, oh, you got 5 gold coins? Well, if you plant them in the Patch of Miracles, you can grow a tree where you can get hundreds of gold coins, maybe even thousands. And of course, Pinocchio, being a rube, falls for it. So yeah, he follows them out of town. And eventually he's like, oh yeah, I need to go back to home. I gotta go talk to Geppetto. And he eventually gets like, no, you gotta keep going. And they're like eventually, I guess he realizes what's like to disappear on him, because they're gonna go mug him as disguised as bushes or something. Because yeah, it's obvious you're not in disguise, when you're a moving bush. But yeah, eventually Pinocchio stumbles into the Blue Fairy's house out in the woods and gets saved from being robbed that night. But he then gets tricked the very next day, so you're like, that was pointless. I guess you can argue it's a showing of the nature of Pinocchio as a character. He's very naive and has a lot growing to before he can become a real boy, or at least a good boy, which is what the Blue Fairy wants him to be before she'll turn him into a real boy. Albeit his transformation to a real boy in this film is pretty darn ugly. Like, you think he hit every branch of the ugly tree as he is falling down or something, because, geez, it's almost a crime to hit someone with that much ugly. I swear, at least it should be. Somewhere. But if I had to pick the film's biggest problem, it's the background music. Not because it's bad, but because it's classical pieces. So you got the full-on sweeping orchestras, stuff going on, and you're like, yeah, we need these really powerful and amazing visuals to go with that sort of thing, And this film doesn't have it. It doesn't have the budget to have that epic grand feel it needs to make those sorts of songs work. So ultimately the film's undermined by its own musical score, which is much better than the movie itself. I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of classical pieces, but there's just something about the full orchestra that has a certain appeal to me, when it comes to background music. There's just something about that, that's very appealing. And it's really disappointing when a film can't really or other medium can't do anything with those soundtracks very well. And Pinocchio by Golden Films really can't do anything with it. It has such a small budget, it can't really get the epic grand scope it needs to make those songs work with it. So they end up outshining and then drawing you out of the film, which is a real problem. Like, you don't want to be dragged out of the film by the music, but that's what happens to this film. It's just undercut by music that's just too good for it. Otherwise, I'd probably say it's just it's okay. It's not like great, like anything, but okay. But as is, it's rather meh. Like I said, I was just routinely getting pulled out of the film to listen to the music instead. Oh well, suppose another one bites the dust. Maybe next time we'll look at another one of these films. After all, I'd like to knock this collection out in a hurry somewhat. Though we may jump over to something by Don Bluth instead. Who knows? I guess we'll know when we get there. Till next time, then. See ya.
Your skin is the only thing of value to me now, so try not to jump out of it on the way down. Goodbye.